In Bali, yeah, Adrian. Is that John? Yeah, our photographer, your friend, is in charge of that, John.
Yeah. John introduced me to NLP about 15 years ago. And okay. John introduced me 15 years ago, and he was having some real pain. I think it might have been food sickness or something. And Kevin put him into a trance on John's request. And something like 10, 12 hours later, like that evening, the next morning, John was like bright-eyed, and he's like, that's the best sleep and the deepest trance I've ever had. So Kevin put him into a deep restorative sleep. You put him into a deep sleep and just left him there to recover with some suggestions or something?
Yeah, but I can't remember what suggestion I gave him. I only remember that a lot of people came in and out, made a lot of noises, but I didn't interrupt John. He was in deep sleep. I can share you the video. I interviewed him. Oh. And I did give him suggestion. And I said, when I count to 10, you will be in deep sleep. And you will be in deep sleep for 20 minutes. And he was in very deep sleep. You may think that he cannot understand, but actually he heard everything. And it's not his conscious, but his unconscious. So when I interviewed him, I asked him, how long had you slept? He said, I don't know. I said, dude, come on, there's a voice to you. It just came to you, tell me. He said, 20 minutes. I said, yeah, exactly 20 minutes. But how did you know? He said, I don't know. I said, your unconscious told you because I told you unconscious. So this is a traditional and a classical hypnosis.
Hi there, Adrian here, and this is a video from a Zoom session that we do. We do these Zoom sessions every Sunday, and we take questions and answers from the audience. Some of our students, some of our members. We never know what questions are coming up, so I'm always excited to do these sessions, and I hope to see you at one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out the other playlists that we have. Thank you, enjoy.
If you like, I will deliver something like a lecture. It's not like a lecture. So for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to introduce what I'm doing and my understanding about hypnosis and what we can do with hypnosis in coaching and different sort of things like alcohol addiction and also some cases I've done. And I'll also be talking about what is hypnosis state and how we measure that and how we calibrate that. So the astrologer asked me, I give a name to this seminar, and I call it Hypnotic Trance State. The most beautiful state and the transferable state. So first of all, a brief introduction to you so that you know whom you're talking to. I hold 2 PhD degrees. One is PhD in applied psychology, and also a PhD in healthcare system management. I haven't got my degree yet, but barely, but very close. For that, I will get my degree, hopefully next year. And also I'm a PhD tutor at Philippine Christian University, although I'm a professor at Philippine Christian University, but I'm Chinese. I live in Qingdao, so this is my hometown. And I teach PhD students in clinical psychology. I studied at Northumbria University. This is why I know a little bit about the UK. And also I got my Master of Business Administration at Northumbria. And I got my Art and Design degree at Newcastle College, especially design of cushion and furniture. So I designed almost everything here, my office. And also I'm also a designer, contracted designer for John Lewis. I designed a lot of the mirrors and nightstand, a small piece of furniture for John Lewis. Probably can also see my design on John Lewis now, even today. I got my master in psychology in Derby University, also in England. And also I got my PhD for applied psychology in Southwestern University. And my PhD in healthcare system management and Philippine Christian University. So my qualification is I'm deputy member of International Association of Psychological Practitioner. And this is a very weird and special organization. So their entry must is all the membership should held a minimum master degree in psychology, and also should be coach, either ICF or NLP. I'm also certified trainer for International Trainer Academy. And also I'm quality board member of International Coaching Alliance of NLP and a guest professor for ICF Chicago. And I'm a member of British Psychological Society and a certified trainer for INHA, i.e. International Holistic and Natural Medicine Association, and also NGH. This is the largest organization for hypnotherapy based in the US. And I'm also a certified trainer for NLP practitioner, new code practitioner, and also master practitioner. So as we all know, probably all of you have been trained by Adrian, and I'm so happy that Adrian inspired a lot of people. We co-trained back in 2019 in Bali. That's a very lovely memory. So we had a lovely time together there. And probably you are familiar with the story how NLP came from. So it's two guys important. And mentioned on Wikipedia and the textbook is that these two guys created NLP. The truth is a little bit different from that. And actually, when was initially established, it's not called NLP, it's called a Meta. So they started their journey from 1971. And in 1975, they published the book, Structure of Magic, Part 1, and the following year, Part 2. And they started to use the name NLP in 1976, and they separated in 1981 for up to 10 years. The truth is another important guy also got involved in the establishment of NLP, i.e. Frank Puslik. So this guy worked together with a Bandler in 1971 and 2. And initially they started to lead Gestalt workshop, and they started to know each other. And interestingly, they found that they share a lot of in common. They started to work on the first generation for Meta. So i.e. how to study people's first access, how to filter, perceive the world, and how to make it in a positive way so that to acquire much, much better performance. And this technique started their journey by modeling two masters in psychology field, Fritz Perls in gestalt therapy and Virginia Satir family therapy. They started to study the pattern of their language and people's language on how to make people to see the bigger map, the whole map of their world, and how to make a better world for them. But later, they found there's a limitation, i.e. how to make people accept to see the world and how to make change happen, positive change. So later, another important guy, Gregory Bateson, introduced one more important master, Grander and Bandler, Milton Erikson. So the reason why they introduced Milton Erikson into this system is that this whole system can only work better under circumstances, i.e. special state. So I remember there was said, to help people initiate change work, there are three factors that are most important, i.e. state and state. So in our work, state is really very, very important. This is why Bandler and Granger visited Erikson, based in Arizona, Phoenix City, and spent quite a long time with Erikson. So they introduced hypnosis into the whole work of NLP. So in 1995, there's an academic journey carried out by Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology. They studied different subjects and divided them into two groups. One group with only CBT, i.e. cognitive behavioral therapy, hypnotherapy, and the other combined with hypnotherapy. So these clients are with anxiety and affective disorder, things like that. So after a period of while, they discovered that the joint usage of hypnotherapy and CBT is it's benefited more than at least 70% of the clients receiving the same treatment without hypnosis, i.e. only with the CBT. And 10 years later, in 2005, they conducted another research, and they also found that CBT with hypnosis is extremely effective treating acute stress disorder and also PTSD. So nowadays in clinical psychology, it's my background, a lot of therapists started to use hypnotherapy compound with other techniques, for example, CBT or probably psychodynamic treatment. So what is hypnotic trance state? As we mentioned, it is powerful and useful.
So these guys got together, right? Early 70s, broke up in 81. But this gentleman on the far right here, Frank Pukalek, was actually in it at the start as well. And not many people actually know about Frank. I'm surprised and extra happy to see him here.
Yeah, I met him not long before. So we had an online meeting with him. An interesting guy.
Lucky guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's working hard still. Mainly in business field. Okay, is it better now? I learned my voice now.
We'll give it a go, man. We'll give it a go, and I'll come in and start talking if it's not.
Okay, so for most of coaches and especially behavioral therapists, it is only important to acquire one ability, i.e. calibration. So this is a little bit like Chinese traditional medicine doctor. We calibrate people by their expressions and their body language to see what's happening. But today, thanks to the development of technology, now we have devices to use. Adrian is very familiar with that. I saw in the WeChat group, Adrian has recommended several times to use this biofeedback. It is called Inner Balance. So this is the website, just in case you may need it. The website is www.hypnotic.com.
These devices are absolutely fantastic. If you ever want to invest in a little something, and actually Harold and Guido, who's not here. Harold, have you been using your Inner Balance?
Yeah, I used it. Using it. I'm using it.
And how long did it take to, once you finish up the payment, how long did that take to arrive, Harry?
2-3 days.
Okay, so if anyone is in China, please just give us a yell. We'll connect you up so I can get these little things. When I got my heart mass device, I've got about 5 of them. And I've often worked with clients and I've given them the heart mass and they have to use a heart mass. So the heart mass can click onto the ear and you can use it to measure your hypnosis. And I've seen Kevin use this for class and actually measure people's heart rate and meditation state. But when I ordered my 5, every single time I ordered them, it would take maybe 2-3 months to come over from the States. So if you're ever in China and want them, just connect up and Kevin's admin girl will get them for you nice and quick.
Yeah, only 2 or 3 days. Right? Yeah, that's right. So using this device is very convincing. For example, I've got enough experience of working with people, with clients that are suffering depression and or anxiety all together. So usually people with anxiety or OCD, it's very difficult for them to understand what you're talking about. But if you use this device to detect and their inside, their inner coherence, so they trust it all in a sudden, and you just demonstrate how different it is before and after you use a technique. You work with them. Now, I would like to explain a little bit how it works. So this is the face. When you use it, this is how it shows it works. Here, this is 4.99 as a coherence rate. This is in general. It measures in general how good or bad your inner coherence is. And here, this curve is HRV. As you see, this is a very regular bigger curve. This reflects a very good high coherence state. And if you look, there are 3 different colored sections. Green, as we know in the common cultures, green means good. So if you locate, you stay located in green section means very good. Blue is okay. But if in red, it means not good. You're experiencing frustration, anxiety, or different sorts of negative feelings. And here, 62 means beats per minute heart rate. And also here, this is the energy level. You might be curious to know, what is energy level? Well, energy level measures the unit time, how active your nerves works. When I mention nerves, it means two different parts. It's autonomic nerve system. So this part, oh, sorry. You can see this part on the left reflects how much energy in your sympathetic nerve area. And this part reflects how much energy is in your parasympathetic nerve area. Well, usually when we are working, for example, I'm talking, and at the same time, I am organizing my thought. So usually, and these circumstances, my energy level accumulates to this area, to this sympathetic nerve area, which means I'm working, I'm using my energy. And also, it means I'm in a little bit worry and anxiety state, but this is positive. And if I'm too tired, or my state is very bad for a long time, for example, a client suffering depression, so usually you may find the energy here in this parasympathetic nerve area. And here in the middle, it means the balance area. So in general, this whole picture shows a very high coherence state. And the next one is a bit different. I'll show you next way first. So this reflects a client with a GAD, generic anxiety disorder. You can see how different they are. So here is the coherence state rate very low. And you can see the curves is very irregular. And you see a lot of small cases like sore teeth. So this reflects a very frustration, anxiety, anxious, or worried state. And if you look down to the colors, and most of the time it occurs in red area, and sometimes in blue. And if you come down to see here, this is the energy in sympathetic nerve area. So there is even no here. And this is the parasympathetic nerve area. You can see the bars is very close to parasympathetic nerve, means this person is very exhausted and is not in a very good state. So if you look at this two different stuff, you see clearly it reflects different state. So this one reflects a very high coherence state, and the other one is a very low or very bad coherence state. If you have already covered NLP, you might have been taught a technique, which means a chain of excellence. Anyone familiar with that?
Chain of excellence, putting a couple of positive states together. Yeah, we've done some stacking. We've done a chain of excellence and like a chain of love.
Okay.
Or
with a different name.
Circle of love, circle of confidence, circle of excellence. Yeah. I think we might have done a meditation circle as well, where we had all these meditative states like peace, joy, and gratitude all on top of each other.
Ah, cool. Yeah,
I hope some of the students can be like, yeah, we did that. Did we do that?
Okay. So, yeah. We usually start our respiration, means our breath, to adjust our inner balance. When we change our respiration and our physiology change automatically, then also our state changed. And also then we change our behavior. So in New Code NLP, we have a lot of games, a lot of techniques about that. And yes, usually it takes 5 to 10 minutes for a client reflecting this kind of a picture, i.e. a very low coherence state. And we apply this all other techniques So it's very fast for them to see the difference. And the third one I would like to demonstrate to you are very deep.
So, but on that picture here now, the person is in blue and red, so it's like the depressive mode in the deep hypnotic trance state.
I lost the picture, man.
Okay, we can see it there. We just got to get that full screen button again.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, well, you'll end up, the red bit down the bottom is when the nervous system is on parasympathetic. Blue starting to get better, and green is like, green's what we're going for. So if you're working with a client and they got post-traumatic stress, or you're talking about something that they have this kind of reaction, you know, you can actually see it and measure it on the graph. You ready, Kevin? Is it working good?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
In a deep hypnotic state, it shouldn't be in a parasympathetic nerve system. No, it should be in the green area, isn't it?
No. So this is a little bit different. There's a key factor, Yolanda. You look here, the energy level. Because the highest level is 4, right? So that means this person is in an extremely low energy level. Even all of them, either is located sympathetic nerve or parasympathetic nerve, it's extremely low. So but if you look here, this is 250. This is the average, in average. Sometimes people suffering from anxiety may go to 8,000 or even higher. So we look how it allocate or spread in 3 different sections, but we also, it's important for us to see the energy level. So this means this subject is it's like a hibernation, like a frog in hibernation state, and the function of their body and different organs extremely low. So this picture reflects a very deep hypnotic trance state. In a very low hypnotic trance state, there are some features. First, as I mentioned, the energy level is extremely low, usually below 15. And if you calibrate, you can see the client, the breath is very quiet and very slow. And you look at their cheek, the muscles on their faces, it's like in deep sleep, but a little bit different from that. And the heart rate, the blood pressure and heart rate also very, very low. So this is the first feature. And the second feature is that, let's call this the bar, energy bars, okay? So the bar is spread. And usually in parasympathetic nerve area is higher or a little bit taller than sympathetic nerve area section. So I think I did this about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago with one of my clients. And also, as I just mentioned, the coherence rate might be a little bit higher than average, which is 1.2 to 1.5, but not necessarily. For example, this guy is 0.72. But if you look at the curves, usually the curve is very smooth. It's not very big, but very smooth. So this and also again, if you look at the energy bars, it's like a train, which means so there is a gap. There are gaps between them. If it's all very regular or very the same height, there is no gap. It probably is not a very deep hypnotic trance state. So, but usually we don't need to put our client into this deep hypnotic trance state. I only do occasionally. For example, on my training course, and all the students need to see it happen gradually, how it happened, the whole procedure. And also when some people receive a surgery and when the pill didn't work, we need to use hypnosis to help them to get rid of pain. And also some guys they like and they trust that they can be sent to their past lives and they see different things. So only in that different substances we need to hypnotize people in that deep. But usually okay means what we usually do, it's probably the energy level is something below 50. And also you can see similar features here, but it's a little bit in the middle. The privilege is a little bit in the middle, not the parasympathetic nerve. So for us and the coaches, okay, and the coaches or psychotherapists, it's important to, or it's a plus to understand how our autonomic nerve system works. Our autonomic nerves affect our function of different systems, again, followed by different performances. So when we try to use different techniques to make the positive change with our clients, usually we need to make this happen and this beautiful state. I still remember in Bali, yeah, Adrian, is that John? Yeah, our photographer, your friend, is in charge of that, John?
Yeah. John introduced me to NLP about 15 years ago. And John introduced me 15 years ago, and he was having some real pain. I think it might have been food sickness or something. And Kevin put him into a trance on John's request. And something like 10, 12 hours later, like that evening, the next morning, John was like bright-eyed, and he's like, that's the best sleep and the deepest trance I've ever had. So Kevin put him into a deep restorative sleep. You put him into a deep sleep and just left him there to recover with some suggestions or something?
Yeah, but I can't remember what suggestion I gave him. I only remember that a lot of people came in and out, made a lot of noises, but I didn't interrupt John. He was in deep sleep. I can show you the video. I interviewed him. Oh. And I did give him suggestion. And I said, when I count to 10, you will be in deep sleep. And you will be in deep sleep for 20 minutes. And he was in very deep sleep. You may think that he cannot understand, but actually he heard everything. And it's not his conscious, but his unconscious. So when I interviewed him, I asked him, how long had you slept? He said, I don't know. I said, dude, come on, there's a voice to you. It just came to you, tell me. He said, 20 minutes. I said, yeah, exactly 20 minutes. But how did you know? He said, I don't know. I said, your unconscious told you, because I told you unconscious. So this is a traditional and a classical hypnosis. Again, I would like to mention, I treat a lot of people with insomnia. So, and do you know a company, a very big project company named Flua? It's an American company. It's top 150. And also it's a joint project with a Shell, a Dutch company, a petrol company. So they're building a very big vessel. In that vessel, there's a plant factory. So that's a very big project. It's over 1,000. No, it's over 100. It's over $1 million US, I think. No, not $1 million. I think it's probably 1,000 billion. I forgot, but it's rather big. But they've got a problem. So there are over 10,000 workers working on that project, that same vessel, and altogether 180 staff working in offices, and there are around 40 foreign staff, and most of whom are British, and most of them haven't been home back to Britain for over 2 years since the pandemic started in 2020. And the general manager, Graham, he showed me some pictures of very young children. He said that these are my grandsons and my granddaughters, but I haven't met them. So you can imagine people working under very big pressure. And in most of the cases, they can only stay in the yard where they build the vessel. And around 2 months ago, a British guy, he committed suicide by jumping off the building, so 21st floor. And you can imagine what happened when he jumped on the ground. And his friend, some with relationship for 15 years, some even 18 years. They know a long time ago, and because in a foreign country, so this most of them together. So when this tragedy happened, a lot of people, especially those foreign people, especially other British, so with whom they spent time together mostly, so they suffered. Actually, it's an acute stress disorder, a lot of different difficulties, and one of us is insomnia, and the most close, the closest friend, his name is Robert. He's from Scotland, and he couldn't fall into sleep, and he started to shake every day. And every day when he looked at the seat of that British gentleman, it's empty. So he couldn't stop it. So insomnia is a big problem. I used NLP technique. I first hypnotized him to about 3 to 4 grade. I used a technique I created. So this is something I'm going to share with you later. When I finish my speech, I will share with you. So I hypnotized him. It only takes like 15 minutes. He's a very kind British gentleman, very typical. He said, "Kevin, it's not your fault. If I am not able to sleep here in this noisy office, it's not your fault, because even in my cozy bed and in the late night, I couldn't fall asleep." I said, "Okay, let me try." So about 18 or 15 or 20 minutes later, he started to fall into very good sleep. And the next day, I got feedback from their whole headquarters. He said Robert told him he's 100 times released. I also use the empty chair technique. So I introduced Robert to talk to the British gentleman who just lost. So it's fine. And after my first work with them for 2 days, and the headquarters of Asia flew based in Manila in Philippines, they invited me to continue my work. And I finished another 6 days, and now they want me to work with them more, 1 day every week. So it really works very well to get rid of anxiety and a lot of other different things with them. So usually I work with 10 different clients every day and working in their offices. So hypnosis is very fast working with treatment in insomnia. Okay, I will carry on. Come on, next slide. How to get into trance state. So first of all, I'd like to introduce a little bit traditional hypnosis. When I mention about hypnosis, to most of the people in their mind, it probably images about traditional hypnosis, in which there is usually it's a man. Usually this man looks very cool, and he possesses some very special ability. And people looking at his fingers or eyes slowly is talking, and people slowly fall into a sleep or a completely different stage. So in this scenario, they emphasize the importance of a hypnotist, and they also differentiate clients who is easily hypnotized, who's more difficult, and in which way to hypnotize a person. But again, now I would like to mention about Erikson hypnosis. There is a reason why NLP introduced Erikson in there, because Erikson emphasized the interaction between the hypnotist or therapist and the clients. He believes that neither is the most important part. And second, I think the present is the most important. And he insists to use all the present and develop all the techniques to help and put the client into hypnotic state. So he refuses to use scripts. He says that's not fair, that's unfair with our client. But my opinion is we need to make an integration or a combination of traditional hypnosis and Erikson hypnosis. Traditional hypnosis works very well because it makes regulations and makes the rules and procedures for starters to start with. This is a little bit like an NLP practitioner. And for master practitioner, you may find that all the processes may not work well, and a master of NLP can flexibly use your thinking, your judgment to work with your client, the different things. I still remember Adrian taught me a very new pattern, the 5-star pattern, right, Adrian? I found it's very useful when we use new code NLP. And after that, I also started to create my own patterns. So that's master, and a little bit like Erikson. Erikson mentioned and studied people's unconscious mind. As today, it's not a surprise for us to understand that our unconscious mind is a lot of times, some people say a million times, some said 1,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. We have proved a lot about that. So Erikson believed that trance happen every day to varying degrees. For example, when we drive our car to our office or when we drive back, so we already have that program in our mind. We just obey that. Or otherwise, when we listen to music, for example, the music Adrian just played, and we are we swing our waist and in a very beautiful trance state. And also other substances, when I train in marketing my clients, a lot of advertisement on television, actually that's trance state. I know a lot of Chinese examples, not quite familiar with foreign, but for example, the advertisement on TV for Metamodel or KFC. So they slowly put you into a trance state and they change your mind or your kid's mind, so that when your kid wants to spend some time to eat out, they may say, I want KFC or Metamodel. And he also says, it's not necessary to put people into very deep trance state. Even people are in conscious state, they also gradually absorb your suggestions. I mean, they're unconscious. So there is 2 different ideas. About 100 years ago, there are 2 most famous hypnotists in Austria. Yeah. One is Sigmund Freud, and the other is called Breuer. Both of them are Jewish. Sigmund Freud thought it is necessary to put people into very deep hypnotic state, i.e., like the picture I just showed you, the very deep hypnotic trance state. While Breuer thought it's not necessary, if only the people is in a transferable state and they start to work. So Breuer successfully helped a lot of people, but Sigmund Freud struggled to put people into very deep trance state. So he failed most of the cases. He was not happy with hypnosis. So this is why he got rid of hypnosis from psychoanalysis. But later he introduced another very similar technique. But actually, I think it's also hypnosis. So NLP and other different systems of coaching, we mentioned about the Metamodel. But when we mention about Metamodel, usually we mean that this is a pattern, a language pattern created by Grinder and Bandler. So after they work together with Erikson together in Phoenix City, Arizona, it's a very, very powerful language pattern. Probably you also learned Metamodel. Metamodel helps you to get to the detail and guide our client to see the part in their map that are neglected, distorted, deleted, or overgeneralized. But Metamodel is just the reverse of Metamodel. So we did it intentively to make people confused or overloaded, so that their conscious started to give up. And they just give up of catching, analyzing, and the unconscious started to absorb, just like a swallow, and they take suggestions. Again, Erikson believes our unconscious is not very objective, or is somewhere something can only be revised or rewritten by a client, by a hypnotist or a coach. Erikson believes that it's a creative part in our unconscious. So based on this theory, or probably in accordance with this theory, Nico and NLP developed, and they believe that our unconscious has potential to decide and carry out the actions to fulfill our dreams and goals. It's been 7 or 8 years. I barely set up any goals. I just give over to my unconscious. I said, unconscious, can you give me 3 different options or better options that can meet the same positive intention? And I also ask my unconscious to take over, to make sure this is happen or carried out by my unconscious, not me. And also my unconscious job to check ecology, i.e. it's for the general benefit of my whole life. So Metamodel is very, very useful. And I will give you some examples. I'm going to practice Metamodel. Probably 10 years ago, I used a lot of different patterns or fixed patterns in my hypnosis. And nowadays, most likely I use Erikson, a Metamodel. So yeah, there's no script, but I will give you some to start with, if you like. Erikson also believes that no 2 clients are the same. So we need to focus on the current state, the present of client. So there's no a fixed process applied to all clients. So we need to be very flexible. And Erikson also emphasized the uses of rapport. If you like, can you see the 2 beautiful guys? Yeah, that was a little bit fatter at that time. And the other guy is from Costa Rica. It's from South America. So we don't know each other's language. He speaks Spanish, and I speak Chinese and English, but we always talk with our body language. You say, without even looking at each other, we start to dance. And when the music just started, we start to dance. And even we were in a very beautiful rapport. So rapport is something we need to practice initially or during the hypnosis. And my son is 5 years old. When he was like 2 years old, he refused to go to bed. He started crying. And my wife has nothing to do, and she didn't know. What I did is I hold my son in my arm, and I started to maintain rapport with him. When he blinked his eye, I start to blink his eye. When he tilted his head, I still tilt my head. And then I adjust myself into a very sleepy state. And I look at his eyes, I look at my eyes, I start to blink my eyes faster and faster. Usually I fall into sleep within 2 minutes. So and my wife also got a headache if I'm not home. So rapport is important. And Erikson also used some other techniques. For example, encouraging resistance. This happened a lot when our client came to us, and they say that they would like a positive change, but actually they would rather to stay to the old state or environment because it's safer to them. And also when you said, I'm gonna deliver hypnosis therapy with you, usually they start to be very alert. And in that scenario, it's very difficult to hypnotize them. So when Erikson was very young, his father tried to put a small scarf home, but the small scarf was very stubborn and it refused to go back home. And what Erikson did is, so instead of dragging the head or the nose of the scarf, the calf, not scarf, the calf, and he dragged the tail of the calf. And what they did is, a very naughty calf usually resists human beings' orders or attempts. So the small calf jumped and right into the positive direction and right into the right home of the calf. So I also use a lot. I still remember once I delivered a hypnotherapy workshop in Fuzhou, a very stubborn guy, he said, nobody can hypnotize me. And he said, when I mentioned I started to use, to teach another technique, I said, I need a guy who think he's the most difficult to be hypnotized. He raised his hand and all the rest of the students give the opportunity to him because I believe he's the most difficult one. And when I started, I said, you're going to be careful because I'm going to hypnotize you. So you're going to be looking at my eyes and do not jump and do not close your eyes and even do not blink your eyes. And he's just looking at me with his eyes open very wide. So slowly, about 15 or 18 minutes later, this guy started to sit on that chair with his mouth open wide and his eyes open. And when I talked to him, he couldn't answer. And the other guys also started trying to talk to him, he couldn't answer. So when I woke him up and people asked his questions, so do you still remember what happened? He said, yes, but only in the first 15 minutes. So from about 15 minutes, he forgot everything, but he still opened his eyes, opened his mouth, and asked my assistant to record everything. So that's a very good example to use when people resist your orders, or because they are afraid of something maybe happen, or so for any sort of reason, the resistance between you and your client, you can use that. And sometimes we embed, we call it embedded command or suggestions. Example is probably you're wondering how fast you are going to be in a trance state. And in that case, our client, their focus is about how fast, right? So they can stay around probably 20 minutes, probably 2 hours, or people never, but they haven't noticed that they already put themselves into that trance state to try and to set up a scenario and to decide how long. So this is also called seeding ideas. Erikson's also discovered that people shake hands in most of the world, in the most part of the world, like in Western world, also in China. Most of the people, they actually had a program. They have foreseen what's going to happen. So people shake hand 1, 2, 3, and they start to loosen their hand and put their hand back and talk. So Erikson intentionally interrupt this program. So when he hold their client hand, all in a sudden, he stopped over there and pushed the hand and started to squeeze every finger. And at that moment, the clients that start to be like a shock. They say, what the fuck? What's happening? So Erikson used that a very short period of time, started to give suggestions. I also use that when it's like a stage show, I used it for a long time. So when I was on stage and I started to calibrate which guy is more hypnotable, meaning a very ideal subject, that I point, can you, that gentleman, please come here. So when he came onto the stage, so when he stepped onto the landers, and I warmly reminded him, please be careful, I point on the steps, please mind the steps. And all in a sudden, my right hand started to push, to put on the neck, his neck, and I push him intentionally. So all in a sudden, he started to lose balance of his body. And then I will use also my left hand to hold the other arm. And I shouted at the same time, very low voice, but fast, sleep. And all in a sudden, it couldn't do, because at the time his conscious is overloaded. I didn't know what to do. He started to grasp anything that reliable. There are two things are reliable. One's my arms holding him. Second, my voice. So his unconscious started to accept the orders automatically. So handshake induction is very useful actually. Also emphasizing positive. It happened to children. So I use a lot. I'm not sure in your country, but in China, it's a problem for parents and the teenagers, especially boys, especially during summer holidays. They spend the most of the time with their mobile phone or iPad playing games. So their parents complain they spend such a long time that they forgot their sleep or their homework. So instead of advising them to spend a little time, a shorter time on these games, I advise or give orders to my client to spend more time on the computer games. sometimes I even force them or give them tasks to win some scores, or to win some campaigns. And once they reach that goal, they're so happy, and they send message, WeChat message to me. But usually after 3 days or 5, they started to lose interest or compassion about the games. They started to consider do something different. Then it's time for me to give other suggestions or homework to do something different. Confusion techniques is very similar as what I mentioned as a Milton model. So if you learn with Adrian, Adrian is a very, very superb guy, a superb tutor using Milton model. I can distinguish when Adrian coaches taught last time in Bali Island, he used a lot of Milton models actually. So if you look at the students' eyes, especially means the lady from South Africa, and also the gentleman from Europe, and their eyes like this, like that. What do you mean? Is that real? What's next? So they're trying to move their eyes, trying to find the meaning of Adrian's talking, to create meanings between the gaps. So this is the confusion technique. And also shock therapy. Among my students, there is a guy suffering OCD, obligatory compulsory disorder. So he couldn't go to school, and he couldn't even go out. So he stayed home in his bedroom for almost 2 years. At that time, he was 21, and this year, I think he's 23. And he spent 2 hours minimum every day taking shower. I spent a lot of money on the shower gel. That's really handy for OCD. So what I did is I tasked him to go to the department store in his city. And I asked him, because it's very difficult for him to touch food, because he's dirty, food out of his family. So I asked him to ask food from a lady who's a sales of cosmetics. He used to buy shower gel from that lady, and that lady I know is very friendly to him. So I intentionally asked him to with the lady when the lady was having lunch, so in a very small room, and I asked him to ask lunch from that lady. So, and he did actually. The lady was very surprised, said, "Why you ask lunch from me? This is my lunch, but is it okay? I already started my lunch." And he said, yes, but I was following him, and he knows I was following him. So once he started to ask, because he didn't know what to do, he just wished to fulfill the task or the homework. When he carried the lunch, I think it's rice with some vegetables on there, and shoved it from behind. "Hold on, take it!" He was astonished and just turned back. I said, "Now, take a mouthful of the rice and let me know how it feels." And he did. I think that time is out of the mind. His unconscious just took my order and my suggestions. He did that. The next day, he sent a very long message to me. He said, "Probably, Mr. Liang, you cannot imagine, but this morning, I started to touch all the buttons in the lift, the elevator, and I started to touch almost everything I can touch. I started to use the public toilet, and it's never happened before. So after around 5 sections, I think I started to join the entrance examination to colleges. And now he has finished the 1 year, the year 1 of college, and he's now here in my NLP course. And tomorrow, I think I will also give him acceptance therapy. So, but OCD is very difficult to get rid of completely. Most of the cases, they can deal with their work, with the daily issues, even still with OCD, but never OCD is not a big issue for them. After the week, I mentioned this is also part of the Milton model, confusion sim. Innovative means this is called timeline therapy. probably you already covered timeline therapy. So sometimes when send our client to the future, we need resources, sometimes from the history. Sometimes we create the resources here. For example, new code NLP. Again, Adrian is a very good new code NLP trainer. Sometimes we send our client to the future. For example, one of my clients last year is suffered from depression, anxiety. He quit his university. He was in year 1 university. He quit, and so after 3, I think, treatment, working with him, he started to change his dream, or clarifying his dream to be a therapist, a psychotherapist, and in Germany, in Munich University. But it's such a long dream because he doesn't know German. He didn't know German, and he couldn't even talk to people. He couldn't attend public, a lot of. It's just to stay home. So after 7 treatments, I sent Andrew a hypnosis state. I sent him to Munich University in Germany, and he enjoyed his VAK so much, visual, auditory, kinesthetic so much. And then I asked him, how did you achieve that? And he mentioned how the first he enrolled a language school, learning German, blah, blah, blah. You know what happened? 10 months later, he was accepted by Munich University, and he passed the language test after German. And it's free of tuition fees. So this guy is also here. He's going to fly over to Germany in September. So he just got his visa in Beijing. So that's the resources I gave him. No, it's not I gave him. I helped him to clarify, to recognize it's his resources. So he's just brilliant. It also reduced his weight by 16 kilo. It just told me this today. So innovative means under hypnosis state, we send our client to enjoy and feel the resources in future and bring all the resources back. And our client also quite clear of all the steps of a plan, how they achieve it. So what we can do with hypnosis can help people with mental dependencies, disorders, and psychological problems. Also, a lot of common uses of weight loss, addiction, relationships, OCD, phobias, anxieties. Adrian just mentioned about addictions, a lot of different addictions. Also, pain management. I just pulled out a tooth without any medicine. So I only asked the dentist to give me like 2 minutes. I hypnotized myself. Then he started to do that. He double confirmed with me. Are you sure? Are you sure? I said, yeah, sure. When I touch my finger, then you start to pull my tooth out. It's very firm tooth inside. That's one. Habit control, businesses, life coaches, etc. Also, lots of different professionals. We can use that: psychologists, coaches, psychiatrists, counselors, family therapists, etc., etc. Lots of them. Okay. There are also some differences between Erikson hypnosis and traditional hypnosis. That will be your homework if you like. I will share this PowerPoint with all of you guys. I will send it to Adrian so that Adrian can share with you. If you like, you can ask it from Adrian. Here, I would like to share with you a script. Although I just mentioned that Erikson doesn't like that. I think it's good to start with the script. If you like, I would like you to feel this experience, which means I'm going to hypnotize you, and you guys just sit yourself comfortably and just feel yourself into a trance and deep hypnotic state. And this technique is especially designed to help people to get rid of insomnia and a very fast induction. Is that okay? Do you like it? Okay, good. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, G. I can see that. Now, just make sure you sit in your cozy and comfortable chair. And feel your breath. Ready? I know that you are wondering how and how fast I'm going to help you to be in trance state. And I wonder if you have been in a trance state before and how well you were there. Now, I invite you to start imagining a big, round, orange-colored orange in front of you. I want you to see its color, shape, size. Then hold it in your hand, left hand or right. Feel its weight, skin touch, and smell its smell. Even imagine its taste. That's right. Now, I would like you to turn your attention on top of your head. I want you to start imagining this big, round, orange-colored orange on top of your head. Yes, you can now imagine its weight on your head, the smell, the taste, the texture of its outer skin. That's right. I want you to take a moment, in particular, to feel how much it touches the top of your head, its weight, its temperature, its touch. That's right. Now, I want you to completely focus on this orange and all the details I've mentioned about it. And focus on your breath 10 times. With each breath, strengthen your focus twice on it. Good. Strengthen your focus on your head. That's right. At the same time, start paying attention to your eyes. Pay attention to the contact between your upper and lower eyelids of both eyes. They are so gently and tightly closed that they protect your eyeballs so well. And slowly, upper eyelid and lower eyelid resemble two magnets. Gradually, more and more heavy adsorption together. At the same time, you can also feel your ears, especially the part above the level of your closed eyes. Soft, thin, relaxed and comfortable. Give them your full attention. This is good for you because it means that you are in better state. At the moment, you are fully focused on the orange on top of your head, the closed eyes of your upper and lower lids, and the top half of your ears. Focus completely on these areas and pay attention to your breath 15 times. With each breath, focus twice as much on it. "15 breaths. Each breath, strengthen your focus. That's right. While you are getting deeper and deeper, relaxed and peaceful state, now it's time to move on to something better and more comfortable. I want you to start imagining a soft, warm silk scarf around your neck. Yes, very comfortable. Completely feel the contact around your neck. Soft and warm. Also, pay attention to the way your shoulders touch your clothes. Pay attention to how big the area it touches. Is it soft or hard? Warm or cold? Smooth or rough? Comforting or relaxing? That's right. Just focus on the neck and the two shoulders. Now, you are completely focused on the orange on top of your head, the closed eyes, the upper part of your ears, the rim of your neck, and the touch of your two shoulders all at once. Focus completely on these areas and focus on your breath 20 times. With each breath, strengthen your focus twice on them. And with each breath, your body will feel heavier and your consciousness more and more into trance state, until your body and conscious go into deeper and deeper trance sleep together. Deeper and deeper. Now, feel 5 times of breaths, and with each breath, feel strength come back to your arms, your necks, and your shoulders. Then slowly come back. Okay, now come back, guys. Welcome to be back. Right, so I will also share this script with you very soon after the session. Usually, you can use it tonight with you. You can apply it with you. Usually, I go to sleep, very deep sleep, even the first layer. So according to my experience, most of my clients, went into very deep trance or sleep before the third level. So the first level is actually an orange. So you need to guide your client to all the details of the submodalities. Have you heard of submodalities? I think yes, if you covered NLP, you must know submodalities. We use submodalities a lot of time. We handle different feelings. I also use submodalities to hypnotize people. So when you see, hey, look at me, look at Kevin, that's not actually Kevin. All the submodalities make sense about Kevin. That means what color, what the shape, how far from you, and my voice is, things like that. So we need to mention all the details of submodalities, first in orange. And it's very important, the time, the duration, when we ask our client to focus completely on the orange for 10 breaths and give a suggestion, each breath, you need to strengthen your focus on orange. Actually, that's something positive, you know, before we actually put our client into relaxed and trance state, it's necessary sometimes to make them more focused, more anxious. So this is what we're doing. The second level would be our eyes and the upper part of our ear. Why only the upper part? To make them more focused, not the whole ear, but only the upper part. This is the second level, to eyes and ears. The third level would be the neck. You can ask your client to imagine about a scarf. For example, a Scottish client, you can ask them to think about a wool scarf instead of silk stuff. And also the touches of two shoulders. This is the third level. And then also, if you like, we can use the fourth level. Fourth level is these two fingers, the pointing finger and also the ring finger and also the belly button. So if you need to hypnotize your client into deeper trance, use the fourth level. These four fingers and them. And for the fourth level, you ask them to focus everything together and at the same time. So usually they are very deep trance state, but you're going to be careful because sometimes you do not like your client to fall into a sleep. And you probably use some other techniques. For example, you communicate with them. If you can still hear my voice, you touch your finger, please, or you move your finger, please. And please let me know where you are. And let me know when you, things like that. So with this communication during the whole procedure, your client will maintain in a trance state, but not in a sleeping state. A lot of people may ask, so what we'll do, for example, if tomorrow is a very important examination for a high school student, and you do not have a second choice, what we'll do? Well, it's still workable. It still works if you give suggestions when the client is sleeping. So, but better trance state is a better state than sleeping. Well, guys, that's all what I got to say, to tell. And if you have any comments or questions, you're welcome to ask. And thank you for your time, guys.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.